Welcome, everyone, to a special episode of the Adaptation Games. We are a Hunger Games podcast where we break down the Hunger Games films beat by beat and analyze them along with the book to understand themes, characters, and to determine just how good an adaptation these movies are. Except we won't. Not this week. This week, it's a special episode. We wrapped up part 1 of last week. And so now we're moving on to a special episode where we want to talk about Donald Sutherland. My name is Ash.
And I'm Kels. And we are excited. We're excited to get to finally read the letter and to talk about Donald Sutherland and a bit about his life.
I know we've talked a lot about doing special episodes because, you know, when we were dreaming up this podcast, it was like, oh yeah, we'll have like, we'll go through the books or whatever, but then we could also talk, so it's kind of fun to finally do at least one of those topics.
Yeah. I know there are so many topics we could cover, and so I'm excited that we're going to do Donald Sutherland as our first, because, like, really awesome stuff to get to cover about, like, how special of a guy he was, especially to the Hunger Games.
Yes, absolutely.
And the other thing about getting to talk about Donald Sutherland is obviously he's no longer with us. He passed in 2024 when he was 88. And so he's sorely missed. And we're also missing somebody else from the Adaptation Games family this week.
We are. Unfortunately, we talked a little bit last week about Mr. Catfish, one of my cats. Alas, unfortunately, last week he passed. So he was very old. I think he was about 17, so he lived quite a good life. But unfortunately, if I'm not quite as chipper, that is why.
Yeah. But you guys got to have a good couple of days together there at the end in the sun,
yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was no regrets, but just, some sadness.
Yeah, just his time. And he knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was like, hey, can I go? And I'm like, no.
I know. Sweet boy.
Absolutely not. But yeah, very sweet man. But yes, unfortunately, he's passed.
Yeah. So we'll be honoring both Donald Sutherland and Catfish. So we'll take a moment of silence here for both of them. They're both missed. Yeah. A little dance for them. But yeah, so we've got quite a bit to cover. I've been saving most of this from you because I want to see your reaction kind of in real time, especially to the letter. So what order do we think we want to do this in? We can start with a little bit of Donald Sutherland's life, or we can go straight into the letter. I was thinking about maybe saving that towards the end.
Yeah, I think maybe go over his life so that the words that he says in the letter have some more impact.
Okay, let's do it. So he was born July 17th, 1935, and he had a career that was over 6 decades long in the industry, which is incredible, and he was amazing throughout all of it. It felt like he got to be in so many awesome things that we'll go over a little bit at a time. Quick highlights. He was married 3 times. He has 5 kids. Obviously, a lot of people know Kiefer Sutherland, but he has 4 other children as well. So he is known as one of the best actors never nominated for an Academy Award. He had never been nominated for any of the films that he was in, which is kind of crazy.
That is crazy, but also not, I don't know, the Academy Awards are
Yeah. He did get
I have beef with them.
I do too. After the Stephanie Shu thing, I'm sorry.
Oh my God, that was...
We don't need to talk about it.
We don't need to get into that.
Crushing. Absolutely crushing. But he did receive an Academy Honorary Award in 2017 for his lifetime achievement, essentially. But he was born and raised in Canada, so he is not American. I know some people think that, but he is not. He's Canadian. And he was a pretty sickly child. He had kind of a rough life growing up. Fun fact, though, for you, he spent 4 months as an exchange student in Finland at age 19.
Hey.
He lived near, I'm going to butcher this, so I'm going to have to highlight it for you, Otanmaki Kainu. Do you see it in here? I have it in all caps.
I've never heard of that.
So, but
I would guess Otanmaki Kainu, but
yeah,
that's the baseball field and a
You were certainly closer than me. You were in the right
that's
continent.
Some vampires on a baseball field.
So it's fun because Ash also spent some time in Finland.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Also around that age.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was
but not near
little...
an Iron Man.
yeah, not near the mines. You were like near the cities.
Yeah, I was in the city.
Yeah. And then when
I learned a little bit of Swedish. Jag pluggar svenska I Helsingfors Universitet.
Translation?
I studied Swedish at the University of Helsinki.
Perfect. That's perfect. Love that. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, meant to be that we talk about this.
I love it.
Love it. But he did eventually graduate Victoria University in Canada with a dual major in engineering and drama. So very smart guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like that opens up all the paths that you could possibly potentially go down. If one fails, you got the other.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just kind of cover his decades because we'll get to the really important one in the 70s. But he started his career in the 60s. After he graduated, he moved out to the UK area where he was acting in theater for most of that time. But he moved to Hollywood after The Dirty Dozen was like an incredibly successful film in 1967. So that's when he moved to Hollywood to start his film career in full, essentially. The 70s was really the big time for him. He starred in 2 war films, including MASH and Kelly's Hero. So those were kind of like his big breakouts after The Dirty Dozen. In 1971 on Clute, which I think was... It's been a very long time since I've seen it. It was mostly successful, I think. But he had an affair with Jane Fonda when he was on that film.
Respect.
And she is the one who then brought him into a lot of his very political anti-war Vietnam War stuff. She basically brought him into the anti-war documentary FTA in 1972, which stood for Free the Army, which really stood for Fuck the Army. Right. Super controversial. Basically, they would go around and do a bunch of sketch performances and things outside of army bases in the Pacific Rim. As it was basically as a response to the tour, the pro-war Bob Hope USO tour.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is the very infamous Jane Fonda went to visit Hanoi, I think is how you say it, where she took the photo of her sitting in the anti-aircraft gun seat, and because she was behind enemy lines, because they went to both American and other camps to do these performances.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah. A lot of people today still see her, especially as like a very anti-American because of it. So very controversial at the time. Yeah. She doesn't regret. She has shown regret about taking that photo of her sitting in the anti-aircraft gun seat, just because she's like, it looks like I'm trying to shoot down American planes, essentially. And that obviously was hurtful to a lot of the vets and things like that.
Yes.
But she doesn't regret any of the, activism that she did around that and trying to end the war. So same with Donald Sutherland. He obviously has really cared ever since then. And one of his big things that he did on the documentary was he did a reading of Dalton Trumbo's 1938 novel, Johnny Got His Gun. And essentially the reading that he did was about when should soldiers turn their guns on those giving the orders. So
gotcha.
I've never actually watched it. I think you can still find it online. So maybe we'll have to do a movie night. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, I'm very down.
Yeah. I'm intrigued. We haven't done a movie night in a while, so I thought it could be a good time.
We haven't.
I know. Yeah. And then documents declassified in 2017 showed that during that time, between 71 and 73, he was on the NSA watch list at the request of the CIA because of this. So
Hey, that's how you know you're doing something.
Yeah. So I guess he was never actually arrested. I thought he had been arrested because of this, but no, he had just been on the watch list. So they never actually arrested him. So just an interesting vibe. And then that was the 70s. So that was a very formative time for him. Obviously, a lot of activism, a lot of political things going on, the Vietnam War. I actually just saw an incredible play in LA called Soul Sacrifice. That was awesome. I cried for like the whole thing, but it was also about like Vietnam War era stuff here in LA. So very cool.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was the 70s. And then in the 80s through okay, so I know that the 2000s are the aughts. And then what? Are we just calling them the 10s and the 20s?
I think so,
I feel
which
like
I don't like.
So weird. I don't like it. But I don't know what else to call them, you know?
What do we call the 1910s?
That's, I feel like 10s and 20s and 30s. But I guess now we call them the 1910s and 20s and 30s.
Oh gosh, it's going to be so confusing. 30s versus like the Great Depression 30s.
I know. Well, aren't we basically already in another Great Depression?
Let's not talk about that.
But yeah, crazy. I don't know how to refer to stuff like that anymore. But from the 80s through the 2010s, he was booked and busy, basically just like nonstop. His filmography, his TV history was just massive. I'm not going to even name even some of them because there's too many to go through. I mean, he was just in everything all of the time, you know? And despite being Canadian, he was very vocal about his politics in the States. He like started writing for Huffington Post during Barack Obama's first campaign run and, you know, really voicing his political beliefs as somebody who lived in the States, even if he wasn't necessarily a citizen. Right. So
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. And then from the 2010s to the 2020s, he was dominated by the Hunger Games. That was basically from then to then.
And weren't we all?
Yeah. And then he had his couple of final roles before he passed in 2024. But I figured I would read what his son Kiefer, when he announced, he loved what he did and did what he loved, and no one can ever ask for more than that. A life well lived, which, definitely.
Yeah, it is so interesting. I wonder, I mean, obviously, like, his connection with Jane Fonda really started the activism, like, pointed in a specific direction. I'm sure he was jumping into it before. But yeah, I wonder if like his roles, because MASH was huge and it was also a little bit anti-war. It just kind of feels like maybe he got away with that initially and then just kind of kept running with it, which is quite impressive and hard to do.
Yeah, I've seen parts of Kelly's Hero. I haven't seen I don't think I've ever sat down and watched the whole thing, but that was another big war film. He did other war television, and then, oh my gosh, I didn't write this one down, but there was one where he like voices over a documentary about war that I think is also up on YouTube. I think it's like also on Netflix, but I'd have to double check.
Okay.
Yeah. But like he continued to be really vocal about that. And then a lot of his interviews, if you watch a lot of his interviews about the Hunger Games, he just is constantly talking about like, you know, if he's on, I can't remember if it was like Good Morning America or something like that, but he basically is like, this was one of the lowest voter turnout years. Like, you guys need to get out, you need to vote, you need to have your voice heard. We as an older generation have really screwed you younger generation kids over. You need to get in the booths and like make a difference. And this was in 2014. Like, he was saying that at like every Hunger Games interview he went to. Yeah. So yeah, he was really hoping that these films would help inspire an electorate to participate, especially a young electorate. And I think it's probably where some of us are because of that, because of a lot of things in that era that were similar, right? But I think that this was a really big one.
I think you know, I think this was a part of a lot of everyone's sort of political awareness, even. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think these films had quite the impact that he was hoping for.
Well, it did have a huge impact across the world. I would say maybe not
Yes.
in the way that he wanted with voter turnout, but right, this was also really big, and I've talked about this before when Arab Spring was happening. And a lot of the movements that ended up coming together during the Arab Spring time, it's hard to find a lot of that stuff now because a lot of like papers you look up about it and stuff are all about what were the repercussions of Arab Spring versus what was Arab Spring itself like, right? But that was a
Yeah.
movement that was generated online, and a lot of them used Hunger Games iconography when they were out in the streets. Hunger Games themes and Hunger Games, like the three finger salute and the whistle, and just different quotes while they were protesting. So it's not like it didn't have an impact, right? It clearly did have an
Oh,
impact.
absolutely.
But 2020 rolled around, 2016 rolled around. I think there was,
Ugh.
yeah, we could talk about that all day. I was there for the 2016 election in DC. We could talk about that all day
Awful.
if we really wanted.
Awful.
There's a reason I'm not in DC anymore. Yeah, just, I think though that the people that it was going to reach, it probably reached,
Yes, I think so.
So I think that that's awesome. Anything else you kind of want to know? That's like the very quick version of his life, right? We don't have time to go
Amazing.
into just how much of an incredible career that he had. If you ever get a chance to watch some of his older stuff, like I don't know if you watched the 60 Minutes segment, but he talks a lot about how he was really ugly as a kid, and like his mom basically was like, yeah, you're not an attractive kid. And he's like, that's really hard when you're going to go into an industry like this. But he ended up really being a heartthrob of Hollywood, and he like lives in his roles. Like they watched clips from one of his movies that he had done, and now I can't remember it off the top of my head, but he was crying while they were watching it because he was like, oh, it just takes me back to that place immediately because I just keep these characters with me, basically. So just
so
an
cool.
awesome actor. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's also cool too. Like, I mean, his discography is so is so wide and varied, and to have some
His
of the
filmography.
NB Hunger Games. Yes, filmography. Thank you. I was like, it's 100% the wrong word, but it's it's close. His filmography. But yeah, I mean, to even be at his age and still doing like essentially like young adult productions or films. I mean, it really kind of shows how in tune he was with just he's like, hey, like this is big for a reason, and this is big with the kids. Hey kids, instead of being like, hey kids, he's like, no, I'll use my age to represent what they should watch for, essentially.
Yeah. Which is a great lead-in to reading the letter and how he really felt about the role. Because we obviously talked last week a little bit. I've read bits and pieces of it, right? And talked about it a little bit where he basically had never heard of it. He read the script because his agent was like, here's a script. And he was like, this is amazing. And then he writes this letter to Gary Ross. So it is kind of long.
Oh.
I think I'm just going to read the whole thing, and then we'll go back and we can dissect parts of it.
It's Kelsey's reading time.
Yeah. If you guys want a better reading, because I don't really feel like figuring out how to do this well, you can go on YouTube and you can see the behind the scenes moment where Donald Sutherland, he will read this letter. It's out there on YouTube. So if you want to hear him read it, you should listen to it because he's going to read it a lot better than me, but I will read it to the best of my ability.
You got
Let me take a sip of water first. Hold on.
No.
Okay. So, dear Gary Ross, power. That's what this is about. Yes? Power. And the forces that are manipulated by the powerful men and bureaucracies trying to maintain control and possession of that power. Power perpetuates war and oppression to maintain itself until it finally topples over with the bureaucratic weight of itself and sinks into the pages of history. Except in Texas, leaving lessons that need to be learned unlearned. Power corrupts, and in many cases, absolute power makes you really horny. Clinton, Chirac, Mao, Mitterrand. Not so, I think, with Coriolanus Snow. His obsession, his passion, is his rose garden. There's a rose named Sterling Silver that's lilac in color with the most extraordinarily powerful fragrance. Incredibly beautiful. I loved it in the 70s when it first appeared. They've made it a lot of offshoots of it since then. I didn't want to write to you until I'd read the trilogy, and now I have. So, roses are of great importance. And Coriolanus's eyes. And his smile. Those three elements are vibrant and vital in Snow. Everything else is, by and large, perfectly still and ruthlessly contained. What delight she, Katniss, gives him. He knows her so perfectly. Nothing, absolutely nothing, surprises him. He sees and understands everything. He was, quite probably, a brilliant man who's succumbed to the siren song of power. How will you dramatize the interior narrative running in Katniss's head that describes and consistently updates her relationship with the president, who is ubiquitous in her mind? With omniscient calm, he knows her perfectly. She knows he does, and she knows that he will go to any necessary end to maintain his power, because she knows that he believes that she's a real threat to his fragile hold on his control of that power. She's more dangerous than Joan of Arc. Her interior dialogue/monologue defines Snow. It's that old theatrical turnip. You can't play a king. You need everybody else on stage saying to each other, and therefore to the audience, stuff like, "There goes the king. Isn't he a piece of work? How evil, how lovely, how benevolent, how cruel, how brilliant he is." The idea of him, the definition of him, the audience's perception of him, is primarily instilled by the observations of others. And once that idea is set, the audience's view of the character is pretty much unyielding. And in Snow's case, that definition, of course, comes from Katniss. Evil looks like our understanding of the history of the men we're looking at. It's not what we see, it's what we've been led to believe. Simple as that. Look at the face of Ted Bundy before you knew what he did and after you knew. Snow doesn't look evil to the people in Panem's capital. Bundy didn't look evil to those girls. My wife and I were driving through Colorado when he escaped from jail there. The car's radio warning was constant. Don't pick up any young men. The escapee looks like the nicest young man imaginable. Snow's evil shows up in the form of the complacently confident threat that's ever present in his eyes. His resolute stillness. Have you seen a film I did years ago? The Eye of the Needle? That fellow had some of what I'm looking for. Hold on, this is a lot to read. We're almost there. The woman who lived up the street from us in Brentwood came over to ask my wife a question when my wife was dropping off the kids at school. This woman and her husband had seen that movie the night before, and what she wanted to know was how my wife could live with anyone who could play such an evil man. It made for an amusing dinner or two, but part of my wife's still wondering. I'd love to speak with you whenever you have a chance so I can be on the same page with you. They all end up the same way. Welcome to Florida. Have a nice day. An incredible letter. We'll talk about the response from Gary Ross in a minute. Really cool.
Yeah.
There's so much in it.
Interesting. Yeah, it is interesting that he pointed out how different Snow is from previous tyrants or, previous leaders like Mao. And how controlled Snow is. And of course, obviously, it's, having it. Oh, my thoughts this week. Having being stuck in Katniss's head. I almost said Catfish's head. Stuck in Katniss's head. Defines Snow, but to have someone that knows her so completely, is watching her, that kind of, in many ways, is the hinging point of understanding the Capitol's power. Is we have this kid who's accidentally rebelling and then on purpose rebelling, and is getting outplayed at every single step. No matter what she does, no matter what everyone around her does, Snow outplays them until the very, very, very end.
Yeah. And that's why he's so delighted when she kills Coin.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 He's like, oh, something new.
Mm-hmm. So we'll go through it a little more closely in a second, but I want to talk about the response to getting this letter. So Gary Ross receives this letter while he's on set at the cornucopia, and there's a lake nearby. And basically he was like, I read that letter. I walked over to the lake. We only had one folding chair for the production at the time. And I sat in it over there and I wrote the 3 rose garden scenes after he sent me this letter. And this is what Donald Sutherland said to him writing those. Because the rose garden is the closest example to sensual passion, because you have no sex in this that you have in the entire film. And it has to do with power. It has to do with elegance. It has to do with denial, and it has to do with cruelty. So he calls Gary Ross a breathtaking writer for writing these scenes, which I would not disagree. I think like adding these scenes adds so much. And you know, we talked about this previously where Gary Ross then says, this is the relationship you want as a director, right? The give and the take and doing all this stuff. And Sutherland, in that 60 Minutes segment I was talking about earlier, he said that he feels like his relationships with his directors are like having an affair, like having a romantic affair, because he needs an intimate creative director. And he will call it a love affair sometimes, because he's like, sometimes that intimacy, that creative intimacy is needed. Sometimes it's rejected, sometimes it's embraced, and when it's over, it's gone. It's done. The interviewer asks, like, do you have a cigarette when it's over? And he goes, no, but you do have regret. Just like when you have an affair. So I think it's awesome. I don't even know if they had met in person at this point to talk about the movie, right? But this was so vitally important to both of them and how they end up developing the film at the end of the day. And Gary Ross talks a lot about how you have to be the kind of person that's open to change. Like once you write something, it can't be set in stone when you're in this industry, because that's not how you get the best possible product.
Especially as a film,
malleable.
Like there's too many people involved for it to just be a one and done.
Not to throw shots at Marvel, but that's why a lot of Marvel stuff hasn't been working recently, you know, because that is, you have to follow the lines to the T, because you don't get to see the whole picture. You don't really get to be a part of it. So, yeah.
There's no input. You stand there, you say your lines, and then you leave.
Yeah. And you probably don't even know which film it's going in at this point.
Nope.
You know.
You don't know what your lines are talking about.
Yeah. So just, really interesting stuff. I think the stuff about Ted Bundy is really interesting that he puts in there too, right? About how approachable Snow needs to seem to the rest of the Capitol, especially, right? Like he needs to seem terrifying to the people that he's terrifying, but like to his own people, he needs to seem like the nicest guy next door, you know?
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really interesting comparison as well.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because how often do we see Snow actually interact with Capitol citizens in a way that would show our relationship, like show that relationship? We have Seneca Crane talking to him in the Rose Garden.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because, and then we'll get him talking to Katniss and catching fire. Like the only time we see him amongst the people is at the beginning when we first meet him, when he's going up to give his speech, his welcome speech, because he's sitting amongst them, but you can tell he's separate from them. Like he's the parent.
Yeah.
Right. Like how we talked about it then is that he's overseeing them as children who are delighted to be in his presence. Right. I think that's part of, I'm going to be really interested to get to Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, because I think that's where some people, especially in the film, kind of lose the connection a little bit, because all you're getting is Snow amongst the people. So all you're getting really is the Ted Bundy version of Snow, right? The version where he's so likable that nobody knows the horrible things he's about to do.
Especially in the film, because you're not in his head.
You're not in his head.
Him do nice things.
Yeah. I always love the comparison when people are like, you know, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is the only one that's not written in first person. It's written in third person, omniscient. And that's because Suzanne was like, no, too close. You can't be in that man's head.
Too close.
We can't live in it, you know, because it's horrible, the things that he thinks and the way that he will do an action, but he'll be thinking something so horrifically bad about it that you're like, you can't see the good in it. So I've only seen the film once, so rewatching it, maybe twice, because I did a full rewatch. But I'm just really interested when we go through it and break it down. Am I going to feel different, or is it going to be something where if you thought translating Katniss was hard, Katniss wears her heart on her sleeve. She is easy to read. Like, she thinks she's difficult to read, but she's like the easiest person on the planet to read. Like, you know, I sent you that TikTok video, right, where she was like, she somehow unerringly will always know what Haymitch is thinking, but she can't read anybody else. So funny.
No.
But yeah, so I'm really interested when we get there to see that.
I've never read Ballad, so I've only watched the movie. I've never read Ballad,
that's right.
So I'm very excited.
Okay, so when we get there, you're going to be
to that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's going to be really interesting. Because how did you feel about the movie when you walked out of it, Ballad? Did you see it in theaters?
No, I think that also killed it for me. I saw it at a friend's house, so it wasn't as good.
Because I think Rachel Zegler is fantastic. And I think, what's his name? Tom Blythe is also good. The problem is, how do I say this nicely? He doesn't have the depth to see that there's something else going on. Or you're not supposed to see that something else is going on. That's kind of the whole point, you know?
Yeah, my impression was it felt very like Harry Potter whimsical version of Hunger Games. And I was like,
yeah. Yeah. Doesn't help that they don't put any blood in the movie at all. We'll get there. Yeah. We'll talk about it one day. But anyway, so you're right in that I think we talked about this before. I think it's interesting. I wonder how much this and the Rose Garden scenes then influenced Suzanne to write Ballad the way that she writes it, you know? Because everything 100%. He puts in this letter, like, he must have been a smart man. He was the smartest kid in his class, basically. He was going to get that scholarship. He was going to do all these other things, right? He knew how to play people. He knew how to get away with stuff. And that power, the fact that he is basically in this moment being like, absolute power makes you horny. Because what does Snow do? He then wants to possess Lucy Gray, you know? But then when he can't possess her, that's when the Rose Garden basically comes in and replaces that for him. Because he has absolute control over that in a way that he didn't have absolute control over Lucy Gray.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. That does make sense, though. Huh.
Yeah. Because he clearly gets married and he has a grandkid later.
Oh, yeah.
But, like,
he does.
You know, that's a loveless marriage. So he just 100%. Does it for the political moves, right? And no other reason. So...
Yeah, I don't think Snow has ever truly loved anyone, actually. I think he's loved the idea of people.
Yes, he thinks he loved Lucy Gray once, but he doesn't know what that word means.
Mm-hmm. And he thinks he loves the Capitol, you know? Like, what he's doing is out of...
loving his kids.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
But you're like,
It's all about him being in power. And him being
100%.
Snowlands on top, right? That's his motto. And that basically is kind of what this letter is more eloquently saying, right?
Yeah. He both will be the reason why the Capitol is the way it is, and it'll also be the reason why it falls the way it does.
Yeah, exactly. I love the line when he says she's more dangerous than Joan of Arc. Like, so interesting. Because when you read Sunrise, I think doing this reread, I'm seeing more of it being American, right? Where it's like American history does seep through. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Appalachia, but also like they just mention a lot more things about the states in general and the history. And in Sunrise, Plutarch has like a whole bunch of historical books that's the reason he's like so politically active and wanting to tear down the Capitol, because he's like, nobody else has these and access to these. Nobody else can like read and understand them. So I wonder if Joan of Arc is, you know, a story that's in there somewhere. Did it inspire him to lift up Katniss in that way?
Very easily could.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I don't know a lot about Joan of Arc, honestly. But she was also a bit of a tool for, well, whoever she was fighting for. Like, she was a symbol even as she was fighting.
Yeah. Maybe when we do like a names episode, maybe we'll toss in Joan of Arc as, like, maybe it'll be like inspirations, right? Because like I said, Seneca Crane is like based off of a tragedy of some kind. Coriolanus Snow, also based off of a tragedy of some kind. Katniss being a Joan of Arc. I think it'd be interesting to like read some of that stuff and then compare.
I do love my old literature.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else in the letter that caught your eye? I think he clearly talks about the roses a lot, which is everything.
Yeah, because I guess, I mean, I both read these books and had the movies coming out at the same time. So for me, in my head, they live in the same space. But as he was part of the making of, obviously, they live in separate spaces. So really drawing, because the roses become so big in Mockingjay, specifically. It's how Snow and Katniss are even talking together. And catching that Snow's rose, because in the book it's like, oh, it's covering up the scent of the like cysts in his mouth that are constantly rotting from the poison. So it's like, oh, like he's doing this to like cover up. It's the lipstick on a pig sort of situation. But Donald reading way more into it and being like, and really understanding that Snow didn't choose roses just because they smell good.
Yeah.
He chose them because they're very difficult to control, very precise, and he can guide them and control them and, decide every limb that they have.
And you have not read Ballad yet, but the rose garden is huge there. It comes from his grandmam.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a family heirloom on top of everything else from a time from before the war.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And families, from what I gather in the movie, very important because he did not come from the family you'd think would take over the capital.
Yeah. We'll have to, I can't wait till we get to Ballad now because I forgot that you hadn't read it. But like, he came from a very wealthy family that fell from grace during the war. Basically lost everything, including his father and his mother. So, like, yeah, it's all really interesting, dynamics. Because, oops, sorry. Oh, I want to call him Seneca, but his name's not Seneca. The other guy and the main dude that Coriolanus Snow is friends with. He goes with him to be a peacekeeper. Have to give
me more than that.
He joins him. He gets
in
hanged.
Ballad?
Yeah. What is his name?
Yeah, I don't know his name.
I might have to look it up just for street cred. I can picture him perfectly, but I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. But right, his family comes from District 2 because they did so well during the war that they upward mobility, which we now know is obviously no longer possible in most of the districts, and this is why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's so interesting because all the Snow stuff is like rereading these books, having read Ballad, really informs a lot of what Snow is doing, right? So I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm always so, as an English major, I do try to like read literature and draw conclusions from it, but to see someone so experienced in their craft take apart this series specifically for one character and really understand it and draw their life experience into it and create this character, it's wild.
Yeah. Like, I think it really shows there were definitely a lot of people that obviously wrote in about him when he passed, right? And oh my gosh, now I can't remember who wrote it. Maybe Susan. Somebody wrote about him, that he was the smartest actor that they had ever worked with because of his ability to do that. And when I found out he was an engineering major, I was like, makes sense. But this is why you marry the humanities with the sciences, people, because he's able to do both, right? He's able to correlate things, but then also understand why those things are being correlated, right? In the way of like, what is it trying to tell you when those things go together?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, engineering at its very root just trains you on how to find the root of the issue. Whatever it is, you'll find what is causing this issue and then eventually how to solve it, potentially.
Yeah.
And then arts will teach you that there's no real solution, but you must keep trying.
Yeah, basically. So anything else on Donald Sutherland before we kind of start wrapping up?
No, I always forget how these big names in the industry, especially ones that are politically active, are such pillars of Hollywood and of these stories that we love and cherish. So it's nice to revisit Donald Sutherland, who's been in everything.
Yeah. So much stuff. We
This
should
is
do
this
like
is
a watch.
one. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
of some of his
this
stuff.
brief trilogy that we're focusing on is just one amongst many things that he did that's along these lines of breaking down evil characters and understanding them in a way that brings hope.
Yeah. Or even just like fear. That one woman being like, how?
Yeah.
Does that not scare you? It's like, I wonder that sometimes too. Like, man, sometimes you people, it's crazy how deep you could go. And it clearly affected him, right? Having to play these kinds of characters. Because my recommendations would be, if you've not seen the 60 minutes on him, it's like short. I think it's only like 14 minutes or something like that. Because it was just a part of a different episode. But it's great to get him to hear him talk about some of the stuff that he's done in his life. And then I highly recommend watching the behind the scenes when he reads the Rose Garden letter, this letter. And just getting to hear Gary Ross talk about it, and when he's reading it, when he's doing the voiceover, they're having all these clips from the movies, and it's just awesome. It's so cool.
Oh,
So you should definitely watch
I love it.
Yeah, that's like a 10-minute
Yes.
thing. So that's my recommendation to anybody listening. Watch those two things. It's awesome. And then you and I will just have to do a watch party of some of his films. We were doing our old watch parties where we were watching older films for a while, but we've both been too busy to do that again for a long time.
But I do miss, like, I fell in love with 2001: A Space Odyssey through that. So
yeah,
we got to do it.
we should do MASH. I haven't seen it in so long. I think that would be a fun one.
I mean, that's a TV show, so we'll look up what.
Well, he was in the film originally. The TV
I didn't
show
realize
came
it was
after, I
both.
believe. Yeah.
Oh, great! Let's do the film.
Yeah, and then I think next week we're gonna do the script. Right, we're probably gonna do the script maybe 2 weeks, 2 episodes. We'll see how long we go.
And to
next
clarify,
week.
this script is the production script that likely got this greenlit and or close to greenlit. So it's
like,
very
generally, if you just look
different.
up the Hunger Games script online, this is just the script that you can find. Generally how it works is you have to like submit the script to the Writers Guild and then they'll release it or whatever. So not all scripts are available, right? It has to go through like a process. So like Mockingjay, I don't even think there's an available script to read, which is also part of the reason we decided not to go that path for the podcast. But yeah, script number 1 is for Hunger Games. So different. And I'm really excited to see those differences while we get to break it down,
Yeah, they were really throwing tomatoes at a barn.
Yeah. Well, some of it I'm like, I understand why, especially in the era, right? We have to remember that this was 2012, right? This is in the era of Harry Potter wrapping up. Twilight was happening, all of the huge YA stuff was going on. By the time Catching Fire comes out, if you have the DVDs, which I do, and I was watching, they make you watch the like 5-minute sneak peek clip of oh my god, what's the one where they all live in different societies? like the Dauntless. Yeah, Divergent. They make you watch like the first 5 minutes of Divergent every time you go to the menu. And then on one of them, I think it's also Catching Fire, they make you watch the Breaking Dawn Part 2 special, like, clip as well before you get to the menu. So, right, it's all wrapped up in all of that. So I can see why when they were writing the script, they're probably getting a ton of notes of like, make it more like some of this other stuff that is happening, right? Which leads to some of like, well, you need Gale in the movie more, so he needs to break into the Capitol because we've gone too long without seeing him. And by the time we get to the final one, we're like, you're just never going to see him again. We don't care. You got him for 3 minutes. They paid Liam Hemsworth probably way too much money for that. You know,
well, he wasn't that big back then, so maybe he got like $3.
No, I think all of them got what was it, $500,000 for the first film.
Oh, amazing! Good job, y'all.
No, shoot. I should know this. I already looked it up. Whatever they made for Hunger Games on the first movie, I mean, the gains that they get in the second film are like massive, right?
Yeah. For
all of them, because they all get way more involved, obviously. They all have more equal screen time. And by them, I mean Josh, Jennifer, and Liam. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think
makes sense.
Woody Harrelson was the highest paid in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about it at some point. Probably closer to Catching Fire, because that's when the jump in production is, because they obviously get like double the budget.
Yeah, they're like, we have money now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good.
But yeah, so we'll talk script, and then in the next after that, so probably 2 more episodes of that, and then we'll be back into part 2 of the Hunger Games, and where we're gonna get ready to actually go into the games. Which,
oh my gosh,
I don't know how we're gonna get through it.
We finally made it to game. That's what 10 episodes? No, like 9 episodes in. We'll finally get to the games.
We're not even gonna get there yet, because we still have. We just ended on the cliffhanger of the interview. We haven't even gotten the fallout from that yet. So we haven't gotten the like Cinna goodbye scene at the tube and the going up into, like, we haven't gotten any of that. That's going to take us so long to get through, I feel like.
Oh my God. This is crazy.
I love it.
Podcasts are longer than I thought.
Good. I've trapped you. You have to speak to me on a regular basis now.
Oh no.
That was the whole point. I did it. I win.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening to our first special episode, everybody. And
special episode. We'll come up with a jingle or something. I don't know. Or we won't.
Come up with something for the for the script one. I want to just like read it again and pull out a line, and then we will just like table read it, like just us acting it out.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I want to be Gale breaking into Capitol to like kiss Katniss or whatever happens.
I honestly don't even remember. I just remember he gets there and I'm like, what? So can't wait to read it again. That's gonna be so fun.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, so tune in next week for that.
I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. All right.
Okay. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Yay. Our dance moves.
In under an hour, too.